Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Fernie City Council held at 6:30 p.m. on March 12th, 2024. Kisuk Yukit, I'd like to first acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of the Yakitat-Nucleat. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakitat-Nucleat and are members of the Tanaha-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. I'll call this meeting to order, and I'm actually going to turn to Mr. McConnell at this point. We've got two notices of motion in our agenda, and the councillor who forwarded them is not present and won't make it for this meeting. He was on a flight that was delayed. So it falls to us to decide whether we defer them until such time as he's here to discuss them.
Correct. Yeah, the council under the procedure bylaw has the option to say that council may choose to table the two items under other business to the next council meeting when Councillor Ramadas is hopefully in attendance. Councillor Shoesmith has a hand up.
Councillor Shoesmith?
In that case, given that neither of them is particularly time sensitive, I'd be happy to move that we defer those.
Do I have a seconder?
I would suggest that the motion we take then is to approve the agenda subject to items 13.1 and 13.2 being tabled to the next meeting.
Can I? So would you move that then? Is that satisfactory, Councillor Shoesmith?
Absolutely, yes.
Seconder, Councillor Audia Kelly, any discussion? Councillor Hamilton.
I do question whether or not these are time sensitive, as we have registration for AKBLG and FCM both open at the moment. And this motion does discuss this year's events. I'm happy to table them. However, I do think that we need to be cognizant of the fact that they are time sensitive in that we may be risking our ability to attend some of these or to make the most out of these events by delaying our registrations at them.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. And in conversation with Mr. McConnell earlier, we can always register. And if something should change, unregister or deregister those who don't want to attend. I don't think there's anything now that's compelling all of council to register and attend anyway. So I'm not sure, you know, to Councillor Shoesmith's point, I'm not sure it is necessarily time sensitive from that perspective. But I certainly appreciate your comment. Any other comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Councillor Shoesmith. I'll try and remember to check the screen. With that, we'll move on to adoption of the minutes of previous meetings of council. I'll ask for a mover and a seconder that the minutes of special meetings held on February 14th, 2024, February 21st, and February 22nd, 2024, and a regular council meeting held on February 27th, 2024, for adoption. Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor McIsaac. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. I will now open the floor and our online participants. Invite the public in attendance or participating electronically who wish to comment on items listed on the meeting agenda in accordance with section 3.7.3 of the procedure bylaw to address council, except speakers must not address council regarding a matter for which a public hearing must be held or has been held pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of the matter or adoption of the bylaw. Speakers must not address council regarding a permit for which public notice must be given or has been given pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of issuance of the permit, and a speaker may only address council for a maximum of 3 minutes. And seeing as there's no one in the gallery, I'll turn to Ms. Rhodes. Is there anyone online? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 10.1, a report from our Director of Planning, Mr. Lennox.
Thank you, Your Worship. Set up the slide. So before council's bylaw, introducing bylaw 2507, it's 1292 4th Avenue on 13th Street. So the proposal is to rezone this parcel from R1 to R1 SL small lot zone. So the purpose of this rezoning is to facilitate a small lot subdivision. It's a existing 60 by 120 parcel. The subdivision proposal that's been reviewed by the planning department and it's ready to be signed off is to divide the parcel into two 30 by 120 lots. Sometimes on these corner lots, we see the 60 by 60 scenario, but since there's already been a house built on the one side of the lot, that a variance, has been granted already. The developer wants to build another house on the other proposed lot once the subdivision goes through and is registered at the land title office. So like all the other R1SL rezoning, it's consistent with the OCP. It's designated neighborhood commercial, would increase some density in that area and would maximize existing infrastructure in the main town neighborhood. And it's also consistent with the affordable housing strategy. So the recommendation tonight before council is to approve the application to amend the zoning bylaw 1750 by rezoning 1292 4th Avenue from R1 to R1SL single family residential small lot. And that the applicable bylaw be given first and second readings. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lennox. Any questions? I had one, and I apologize for making you repeat yourself, Director Lennox, because I did ask you this earlier in the day, but I just wanted to put it out there for public consumption. The preliminary lot layout agreement, the PLA that's mentioned in the report, is just an agreement to determine what the subdivision looks like. It's two long halves of that lot, as opposed, it's not where the structures will go or anything in that.
That's correct, Mayor Milligan. It sets out the conditions of the subdivision. And the siting of the house that would be proposed there is subject to the setback provisions in the R1SL zone, which are, I think, 1.8 on the street side, 1.5 side yard on the other side, 3 in front and 3 meters in the front yard and 6 meters in the rear yard. So
Thank you.
They build within that envelope. They're good to go.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. In the report, it talks about the requirement for 2 off-street parking spaces per residence. Would that, given those setbacks you just read, essentially mean they'd have to be set in the backyard?
Yeah, that's a good question. And when I talked about the 3 meter front yard, that pertains to the habitable part of the structure. If they have a single car garage like the other house, they need to have a 5.8 meter setback. So that would provide for parking to be loaded from the avenue, whereby you'd have one stall within the single car garage and then another free and clear stall off the street in the on the lot in front of the garage door.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll ask Mr. McConnell to read the recommendation, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are 2 recommendations. Firstly, that council approve the application to amend a zoning bylaw number 1750 by rezoning 1292 4th Avenue from R1 single family residential to R1 SL single family residential small lot.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous, including Councillor Shoesmith.
Thank you. And the second recommendation is that zoning bylaw number 1750, amendment bylaw number 271, bylaw number 2507, 2023 be given first and second readings.
Moved by Councillor McIsaac, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Councillor McIsaac.
There we go. Thank you, Worship. Just a question, this not pertaining to the actual vote, so just a curiosity thing.
Yeah.
And that was with regards to in the report, I noticed in the personnel implications for step 8 about council potentially hosting a public hearing and giving third reading if applicable, et cetera. Don't we have to remove that since we're actually not allowed to have a public hearing on those anymore?
Yeah, I suspect that's boilerplate.
Yes, yeah.
Cut and paste from a
Yeah,
previous report.
apologize for that. That's 100% correct.
Yeah, I figured that just needs to be
Yeah.
updated. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll
Good
correct
catch.
that boilerplate language. Thanks for pointing that out, Councillor McIsaac.
Well spotted. Thank you, Director Lennox. So moving along to item 11, a report from our acting manager of engineering, Mr. Baird.
Here we go. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to provide you with information related to a piece of city stormwater infrastructure that lies partially on city right-of-way and CP Rail property and requires a formal agreement between the city and CP Rail to maintain its function. The storm main itself collects water from a low-lying area at the southeast corner of Kakedo Road and Montaigne Parkway, where it takes its drainage across Kakedo Road, turns north, and parallels Kakedo Road before it discharges into Coal Creek. Its catchment area includes portions of Kakedo Road approximately 200 meters south of the intersection with Montaigne Parkway, as well as the majority of the current Montaigne development and Whitetail Drive. The storm main in question is highlighted on the screen right now. The sewer itself was constructed back in 1996, following the flooding of Coal Creek in 1995. The portion that's approximately 115 meters long, parallel to Kakedo Road, straddles CP Rail property, partially on their property and partially on city right-of-way. CP Rail flagged this encroachment to the city back in the summer of 2023 and are now requiring an agreement be put in place to formalize this utilities placement on rail lands. Both CP Rail and city staff have attempted to locate an existing agreement from back in 1995 or 1996 related to this infrastructure, but none could be found. As well as that, approximately 15 meters south of the Kakedo Road crossing, there is plans in place for the Montaigne developments to install a sanitary sewer that would service their development to the east. That sewer would then cross CP Rail property about in line with Montaigne Parkway. And I presented this crossing agreement to you all back in August of 2023. CP Rail has made the execution of that, CP Rail has made it a requirement to complete this parallel storm sewer agreement, a condition of permitting the installation of the perpendicular or crossing sanitary sewer that we discussed back in August. And because the work involved in relocating this storm infrastructure may risk a delay to the Montaigne development plans for installing their sewer and ultimately paving Montaigne Parkway, we are recommending that agreement with CP for the storm main be entered into now and staff be actioned to look into alternative solutions in the future to relocate this line off of CP Rail property. And with that, I'll present my recommendation and open up for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Questions? I have a couple. So a portion of that is in the CP right. Like, how much of it is in the CP right away? And I apologize if that's in the report. And do we have the room to move it just this side of the CP right away adjacent to Kato Road?
Thanks, Mayor Milligan, for your question. I will share that PowerPoint again. That's okay. Share screen.
Sorry.
All good. This is the closest thing we have to a record drawing. I believe it's actually a construction issue drawing from back in the day. Difficult to see. Can you see my cursor there? Perfect. Oh, is someone else using it? No, that's not going to work. You can see the property line midway down on the right-hand side of the screen. It actually says property line and runs in an arc. The sewer itself is shown completely on the CP rail side of that property line.
Okay.
And there's a portion between that utility and the road that's designated as a flood conveyance channel. When you go out there today, that channel is somewhat visible, probably not as much as it would have been back in after construction in 1995. So there is room to maybe move that onto Kato Road completely. Other options that were discussed were maybe conveying the water not on the west side of Kato Road, but potentially on the east side.
Yeah.
So there are options.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciated from the report that and the agreement that this is to, amongst other things, to buy us some time to review those options and move that infrastructure. Councillor Adia Kelly.
Thanks, Your Worship. I was just wondering if we enter into an agreement with them, is there a risk? Is there a reason that we do need to move it eventually? Like if it's an agreement and everyone's satisfied, is it like worn out? Does it need, or is it, does it operate satisfactorily now?
Thank you, Councillor Adia Kelly. Good question. The utility itself is functioning fine. The only reason that we were recommending looking at alternative solutions is the cost that we're paying for the rental fee to CP Rail, as well as the insurance requirement as well. So the cost of relocating it, if you were to look at that, for all into the future, would likely be more beneficial to relocate it. But it's working good.
Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Mayor Milligan. So the $5,000 was suggested by obviously CPKC. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Just, I think it's just incredible. Local government gets the short end of the stick again, right? I mean, this is going to cost us $5,000 plus a 5% increase for this 5-year term. And then we have to pay another $2,000 on top of that for pollution liability insurance. Is that through MIBC as well? Do we know if that's the pollution liability insurance?
Correct, yes. And that's annually as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a bit of a rant.
No, and
it's just like, I see it as absolutely crazy that a multi-billion-dollar company is tearing $5,000 away from us per
that's how you become
year.
a multi-billion.
I know. I have that in my notes. I was going to say it's fellow councillors and elected officials are going to laugh at me, but their revenues are $26 million a day in the last quarter of 2023, and our budget is $23 million for the year. So it's like our 24. So, anyways, it's a rant. It's not anything, but hopefully it'll be good so that we can get Montaigne paved.
Yeah, which was the impetus for my question, right? Was the cost is at what point can we move this just to get out from under that cost? And at no point is our works within 25 feet of their track, I trust. And the reason I ask is there's language in the agreement that says if they're within 25 feet of the track, and why it's feet and not meters, I don't know. But if it's within 25 feet of the track, we have to pay for a CP employee to supervise the works.
You're referring to the construction of the utility.
Yeah,
Fortunately, this utility has already been built,
yeah.
so we wouldn't have to do that.
But if we're taking it out, we will be doing work or
Potentially,
decommissioning it. We'll potentially be doing work in there right away.
yeah, potentially, where you
okay.
might need another agreement to
Yeah,
do the work, depending on how they allow us to decommission it.
yeah. Not unlike Councillor Nixon's observations, this agreement is just a frightening document, right? It really makes me nervous just reading it. It's all in favor of the railway, which is unnerving. Mr. Boranowski.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to recognize that I think staff, Mr. Baird, Mr. McConnell, and others really tried to work directly with CPKC to see if we could decouple this agreement from holding up the other agreement. Mm-hmm. And every time we thought we would find a little bit of progress, it just hit a wall. And we talked about some of the insurance requirements being unreasonable given what this is. You know, we're not running a high pressure, distribution line for, natural gas or some other substance, but it frustratingly is what it is. But I think those concerns are really well appreciated by staff. And I think that goes to Councillor Audia Kelly's comments about why we would want to decommission this or abandon it or walk away from it when we can.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you. That's all I had. Councillor McIsaac.
I'm just going to apologize in advance for the facetiousness of this comment, but I'm just wondering if if we have to go and do repairs on that, will we be able to send them a bill? Because that's pretty much what they do when they come to repair railroad tracks in our town.
That's fair.
Okay, apologies again.
Facetious and rhetorical. Any other questions? Seeing none, I will ask Mr. McConnell to read the recommendations.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first recommendation is that Council authorize the Mayor and Corporate Officer to execute the Canadian Pacific Railway Company license agreement for the laying of a pipeline on railway lands for the continued use of an existing 1,200 millimeter diameter CSP drainage pipe.
Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Audia Kelly. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
And the second recommendation is that staff develop a scope of work for 2025 project to review options for relocating this infrastructure away from CPKC property.
Moved by Councillor McIsaac, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. That moves us on, given our amended agenda, to reports from council members. And I will start on my right with Councillor Audia Kelly.
Thanks, Your Worship. Not a ton to report. Attended some fun things at Grizz Days. Did get to be a judge. People did try to bribe me, but I said, sorry, no, can't go there. But it was a super great parade, was it not? And I just thought Grizz Days was excellent this year. Like, the weather, the snow, it was like everything aligned. So kudos to everyone that worked so hard on Grizz Days, and thanks to all the volunteers.
Thank you. Youth Councillor Annis.
All right. I have a few things to say, but I also hope everybody had a great Grizz Day. I was fortunate enough to come out as the Grizz, and I was in the parade, got to see a few people. I know, crazy. Secondly, when I started my term as youth councillor, I set a goal to start a youth advisory committee in Fernie as a way to merge the gap, of the two schools. And so I started the recruitment process a few weeks ago, and I'm glad to say there are now 5 members of this new committee. There's been a location secured, and our first meeting is set to be on the 26th of March. So that's pretty exciting. And lastly, if people can recall, in late December, I went to Victoria and I participated in BCYP. And one of BCYP's service projects is RYPs, or regional youth parliaments, essentially just smaller, similar seminars across BC. And I will be attending one of those this weekend in Coquitlam.
Thank you, and congratulations on the Youth Advisory Committee as well. Well done. Great work. Councillor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. Nothing really to report other than echoing Councillor Adia Kelly's congratulations to the Grizz Committee.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
Congratulations to the Grizz Committee on another fantastic event, and best wishes to the Ghost Riders in their current series.
Councillor Nixon.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Milligan. Yeah, so I was away for the Grizz Days. I was was working at an event in Apex in Penticton, so it was unfortunate, but I did watch from afar and it looked like a great time. Other than that, I have something a little bit different to talk about today, just a bit of a public health service announcement. I have a history of colon cancer in my family, and just last week, on Thursday, I had a colonoscopy, and I had 2 polyps removed, and that's the 3rd time that's happened to me. Every procedure that I've had since 2019, I've had polyps removed. Luckily, the Elk Valley Hospital has colonoscopies and great surgeons and great nurses, and they're just fantastic over there. So colon cancer, colorectal cancer spreads fairly slowly, and more slowly than other cancers. It can stay in the colon or rectum for months or years, and if not treated, can spread to other parts of the body. If caught in the early stages, colorectal cancer is 90% curable. So by coincidence, not strategy, it also happens to be the Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So colorectal cancer is preventable, treatable, and beatable. So go to your family doctor and get screened. Go get a fit test and go get screened. So that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you. That's an important reminder. I appreciate that, as we all do. Yeah, I want to wish the Ghost Riders luck. I did place a bet with Al Miller. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Councillor Shoesmith. Thank you, Mr. McConnell. Councillor Shoesmith, I apologize.
Oh, no biggie, Mayor Milligan. Not a big deal at all. I have very little to report other than I had to skip town, like Councillor Nixon, to avoid Grizz jail. So.
Not just Grizz jail, I understand.
Yeah, nothing from me today.
Wishing the Ghost Riders luck, and I did place a bet with Mayor Al Miller of Invermere, and it's a gift box from our respective distilleries, so it will come to council. I don't know what the ethical parameters are, but we'll deal with that should we win. It's just a box. I spent much of the day today at our operations center with the various classes who won the snowplow naming competition, and it was a lot of fun, and really want to hand it to the staff there. They were so on it, and Tracy in particular, who was the tour guide. Those kids were literally eating out of her hand. It was fun to watch, and she's a very talented tour guide. As well, I wanted to thank the Grizz Days Committee for a great event, and Chief Morgan for chauffeuring me. We did 2 laps in the Studebaker because we missed half the run because a vehicle was parked in front of the bay, so they couldn't get it out until they, again through the support of the ops group, moved a street sweeper out of the way, and were able to get the truck out. So we all jumped aboard and did a couple of laps, and that was a lot of fun. And as you say, Councillor Audie Kelly, that parade was packed. The parade route it's really interesting to see how people respond to these events post-COVID. They just want to get out and be in the community. So yeah, a fantastic event. So thank you all. And we'll now move to in camera, and I'll ask Mr. McConnell to read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to section 90 sub 1 sub K of the community charter, as the subject matter being considered at this time relates to negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of municipal service that are at their preliminary stages.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Any discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening.